The islands and the mainland of Southeast Asia include a wide array of physical and cultural landscapes. The entire realm is located in the tropics, except the northernmost region of Burma or Myanmar, which extends north of the Tropic of Cancer. A tropical type A climate dominates the region and rainfall is generally abundant. Southeast Asia is located between the Indian Ocean on the west and the Pacific Ocean on the east. Bordering the many islands and peninsulas are various seas, bays, straits, and gulfs that help create the complex maritime borders of the realm. The South China Sea is a major body of water that acts as a separator between the mainland and the insular or maritime region. The thousands of islands that make up the various countries or lie along their coastal waters create a matrix of passageways and unique physical geography. The three longest rivers of the realm, Mekong, Red, and Irrawaddy, are located on the mainland and have their headwaters in the high elevations of Himalayan ranges of China. Many other rivers can be found on both the mainland and the insular region. The rivers transport water and sediments from the interior to the coasts, often creating large deltas with rich soils that are major agricultural areas. Multiple crops of rice and food products can be grown in the fertile river valleys and deltas. The agricultural abundance is needed to support the ever-increasing populations of the realm. Mountains and highlands stretch across the northern border of the realm, along the borders with India and China. The interior nature of this border makes it less accessible. Similar dynamics can be found in the interior of the islands of the insular region, where the isolation and remoteness have helped create the environmental conditions for unique flora and fauna. Way before globalization and technological advancement have floated, from patronizing imported goods and services displayed at the malls to online shopping, the concepts of barter and trade have been used for centuries and long before money was invented. Though trade and barter are both methods that have been used for the purpose of obtaining required goods and services over the years, there are some differences between the two. That is, while bartering involves the exchange of one product for another, trade involves exchanging money for goods. Barter is a system of trade in which one party exchanges products, goods, and services in order to obtain required products, goods, and services possessed by another. Trade, on the other hand, is a broader term that includes barter system, purchase of goods using money, international trade between countries, commodities trading, currency trading, stocks and bonds trading, etc. A type of early exchange network was characterized by trade between hinterland populations and coastal peoples. The hinterland people supplied local agricultural or forest products that were in turn dispensed to international traders. Coastal-based traders returned goods of foreign origin or specialized services, for example, moneylending, to the hinterland producers. In a third variant, foreign merchants established coastal bases and then worked from those bases to organize the necessary trade mechanisms that allowed them to extract local products from the hinterlands. When Westerners reached India in the 1st century, they found that a regular maritime route connected India to Malay Peninsula. Malay seamen and Indian and Arab traders routinely made voyages from India's eastern coast or Sri Lanka to Southeast Asian ports, which provided access to China's rich markets. In the earliest era of maritime trade, ships from Indian ports touched land on the upper western coast of the Malay Peninsula. Their trade goods were portaged across the isthmus of Kra to the Gulf of Thailand, reloaded on ships, and transported along the coasts to ports on the western edge of the Mekong Delta. Traders of the Roman Empire eventually joined the ships on this route, and Western maritime contacts were extended beyond India and Sri Lanka to Sumatra and other commercial centers at the western end of the Java Sea. The full development of the maritime route by international traders, making regular use of the Strait of Malacca and the South China Sea, came in the late 4th and early 5th centuries. By the 5th century, commercial intercourse between East and West was concentrated in the maritime route. Demand for Southeast Asian products was quickly established when spices from Indonesia's eastern archipelago began to flow out of the Java Sea region to international markets in the 4th and 5th centuries. The new marketing opportunities required more formal political and economic relationships between hinterland populations and coastal commercial communities than had hitherto been necessary, however. The international trade thus acted as an impetus to state-building efforts in the region. The countries of Southeast Asia have a closely interrelated cultural history, shaped by the passage of cultures and religions that accompany the historic trade routes. Caught between the economic demands of the Roman and Chinese empires, the countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos came to be increasingly exposed to new cultures from both East and West, which were to have a long-lasting effect on their artistic traditions. Buddhism spread east from India and left a clear legacy in the art and architecture of these societies. Southeast Asia's response to international trade was a reflection of pre-existing patterns of exchange. Well-developed internal socio-economic and political networks existed in Southeast Asia before significant foreign economic penetration took place. With the growth of interest in Southeast Asian commodities and the refocusing of the major East-West commercial routes in the region during the early centuries of the Christian era, internal conditions within Southeast Asian states changed to accommodate the increased external contacts. The expansion of trade in turn stimulated significant transitions in Southeast Asian economic and political organization. Once the route was established through the region, interaction between Southeast Asian peoples and foreign merchants was inevitable. The peoples of the region were also exposed to foreign cultures and ideas. Initially, the role of Southeast Asia's ports in the international trade was simply to provide facilities for foreign merchants who were passing through on their way to China or India, or laying over until the next season's winds allowed a return voyage. One of the major influences brought about by maritime routes is the Indian influence. Scholars refer to this phenomenon as Indianization or the Indianized states of Southeast Asia. This influence spread as a form of osmosis via the expansion of an organized culture founded on Indian royalty, Brahmanism and Buddhist religions, religious texts in Sanskrit, as well as art and temple architecture that were connected to Hindu-Buddhist culture and beliefs. From early Christian times, Bengal played a central role in this process of Indianization due to its geographic location and its connection with several major trade routes. The sea route especially played a key role in facilitating the trade and cultural expansion of India, especially toward Sri Lanka and the countries of Southeast Asia. Barter and trade became the pioneer concepts for today's international maritime trade. International maritime trade in Asia developed in stages. After Spain and Portugal in the 15th century became interested in discovering a direct sea route to Asia, an interest that led to the European discovery of the Western Hemisphere, the era of the great circumnavigators arrived in the 16th century. Portugal was one of the first countries to attempt to establish a monopoly over the lucrative spice trade with the East, and it founded a network of trading outposts in Asia. The Spanish, meanwhile, established control over the Philippines. The Dutch and the British started similar enterprises at the beginning of the 17th century, each country establishing its own East India Company. The British began by centering their activities on the Indian subcontinent and extended their control to Burma, now Myanmar, Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, and Malaysia. The Dutch first concentrated on Ceylon but later expanded into and concentrated on Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia. The French were able to establish only minor footholds on the Indian subcontinent, but their 19th century penetration of the Indo-Chinese peninsula was more successful. Over time, these European trading companies developed into colonial empires. The East India Companies of Europe came seeking the exotic products of Asia, namely silks, cottons, and precious commodities such as spices and aromatic products. These products required the skilled labor of weavers and farmers or soil and climatic conditions unique to the region. For some countries, interregional exports have amounted to only a small fraction of total exports. However, in East and Southeast Asia, intraregional trade has grown in importance. Asia is the biggest producer of rice in the world, and rice remains an important commodity of intraregional trade. It is an important export item for countries such as Thailand, Pakistan, and Vietnam. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations has fostered joint economic ventures among its member states and has worked to reduce trade barriers. Although some consider it the most successful of the Asian regional blocs, intra-bloc trade accounts for less than one-third of its members' exports. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation has been more successful, but this group is intercontinental, not strictly Asian. It includes the middle-income countries of Southeast Asia, including most ASEAN members, and East Asia, as well as Pacific Coast countries in both North and South America. Reference has already been made to the main transport systems that linked Asia and the Western world. Until the 19th century, the land or caravan, routes supplemented by ocean-going vessels, were predominant. In the latter half of the 19th century, there was a major shift to sea-going vessels. There has been considerable development of ports and harbors, including container facilities in the larger ports, which have been linked to their hinterlands by rail and road. Inland navigation is important in certain countries. A good river and canal system are capable of carrying goods and passengers at small cost over considerable distances. Mainland countries of Southeast Asia are among the countries with inland water transport systems, such as the Mekong River system. Ocean-going ships can navigate the Mekong River to inland ports, such as Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Ultimately, it may be possible to connect even Laos with the sea by improving navigation facilities in the Mekong. Today, maritime international barter and trade continue to be prevalent and significant in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asian region is strategically located at the crossing of the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. The region is home of important oceans, seas, and straits that formed one of the busiest international sea lines of communications, or SLOCs. The South China Sea and the Straits of Malacca play a vital role in the international trade and shipping, and considered choke points in the system of SLOCs. The region is also considered as one of the richest biodiversity areas, a center of gravity for a wider Asia-Pacific region enriched with oil. Of the 87 barrels of oil produced per day in 2011, approximately 15.2 million passed through the Straits of Malacca, the shortest route between Africa and Persian Gulf suppliers and Asian market. This is some 19% the amount passed through the Panama Canal and 4 times more than the volume passed through the Suez Canal over the same period. Strait of Malacca, situated in the Southeast Asian region, is estimated to have more than 80,000 vessels plying through the straits annually. Malacca Strait is not just a conduit for sea traffic from east to west or west to east. Cross-straits communication is increasing, integrating the provinces and countries on either side of the straits. Cross-boundary social networks are ethnically diverse but closely integrated. Thus, the straits' cultural and biodiversity bear great opportunities for the economic and social development of the littoral states of Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. Maritime Southeast Asia is always important as a center of trading and shipping activities. Economies of scale have given development trends in world shipping, which focus on container handling. Today, Asian container trade accounted for an almost 60% share of world container, with East Asia as the dominant sub-region, while Singapore and Malaysia are the best connected ports in Southeast Asia via Straits of Malacca. Containerization completely changed the world's commercial geography with the emergence of an array of new port locations. World trade, including especially a big part of the world's energy resources, has to pass those certain choke points between areas of production and their final destination. With the coronavirus taking its toll on businesses and individuals alike, the 10 ASEAN nations, plus 5 other Asia-Pacific countries, have signed the world's biggest trade deal in terms of gross domestic product. This new form of barter and trade was made as a way for people to cope with the effects of the pandemic and offers a solution to the region's economic slowdown. The pact lowers tariffs, opens up the service sector, and sets common trade rules within the bloc. Indeed, the maritime environment is a transboundary matter that concerns the economic, political, and socio-cultural aspects of the ASEAN.